The energy around this Toronto Raptors team is different right now, and according to new head of basketball operations, Bobby Webster, everything is going exactly as to plan, as he's given some really interesting quotes on this Raptors team, particularly Brandon Ingram, which has Raptors fans even more excited. So we'll break down that, including some injury updates for tonight's game against the Milwaukee Bucks, which is going to be very important, despite the fact a lot of people are going to be watching the Toronto Blue Jays, and the Raptors were also named in an investigation out there by the FBI, which is associated with all the gambling scandals going on. So we'll give a brief update on that as well. So much to break down in this video. But folks, we will be live for the Raptors and the Blue Jays games tonight. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so you know when we are going live out here on the channel. But what's going on? The first one we're going to discuss is something I've seen a lot of people bring up over the past couple days, and that is these headlines going around. 4 NBA teams are mentioned in the illegal sports gambling investigation, including the Hornets, the Lakers, the Raptors, and the Portland Trailblazers. Now, this has some Toronto Raptors fans worried, has some Toronto Raptors fans concerned, is the fact that, hey, are the Toronto Raptors, should we be worried about this? Bobby Webster, is he going to have to make moves, make trades the way, Terry Rozier is cut from the team? We've already dealt with this with Jontay Porter. However, diving deeper into the documents and the headlines, this is all associated from what we can tell right now with the Jontay Porter scandal, as essentially there's been a lot of crazy details revealed into this, as the illegal gambling ring Terry Rozier was accused of running was the same one that involved Jontay Porter, prosecutors said. The operations of the ring are accused of threatening Porter, to whom the NBA banned for life last year. Why did they threaten Jontay Porter? Well, the details came out essentially revealing that basically, I'll read all of this stuff that's going on. There was a sports rigging operation that spanned years across 11 states total, and 30 individuals have been arrested. 13 mafia members, whatever the heck that means. So the case involves La Casa Nostra, a.k.a. the Italian Mafia, and former Raptors player Jontay Porter was threatened for his life to participate in the sports gambling scheme because of his gambling debts. So that is just a crazy update to see. I'll look at it there. But Jontay Porter, his life was on the line, apparently, by the Mafia while he was with the Toronto Raptors to play in this sports gambling spree. It wasn't like, oh, he's trying to get his buddies up, because, again, we all talked about this last year or a couple years ago when it ended up going down, whenever the heck it was. This all felt like a blur for this Raptors team. But we were all confused. Jontay Porter, even as a back end of the bench guy, was making so much more money than he would have earned out here for these throwing games, these prop bets, and all the madness going on. Everyone's like, oh, he's stupid. But realistically, the guy had a gambling addiction, and the Italian Mafia was out here threatening him for his life. So that puts a very interesting light on the situation, hoping, Jontay Porter's all good here now at this point. But absolute craziness there on this front. So the FBI investigation has been for 4 years, with victims losing at least $7 million. And Terry Rozier said that he was going to leave a game in March 23rd of 2023 with an injury. The defendants that then placed more than $200,000 of wagers on the under of the prop bets. So similar stuff, betting the unders. So lots of context there for a former Toronto Raptor, Jontay Porter, and everyone worried about, oh, the Raptors, there's more repercussions coming down, stuff that we don't know. Of course, you never know. You never know what might appear, what might pop up, but in all likelihood, this is just associated with the Jontay Porter stuff and the things that have been leaked and we've already known at this point. So lots of stuff going on in the NBA gambling front, but that's not the only story. That's not the only thing that has to be brought up here, because this Raptors team is an absolute wagon right now, and Bobby Webster has addressed it, coming out and saying that we have 2 all-star caliber forwards and a whole sea of young guys who are scrappy and will play hard. I think fans will really enjoy this. Now, Bobby Webster's really mastered the art, being in the Raptors front office alongside Masai Ujiri, of dancing around questions and stuff, not getting people too hyped, but not getting people down. But Bobby Webster, you could tell out there in these interviews he's given with TSN as well as Sportsnet over the past couple days, he is very excited with how things are coming together for this group, particularly adding Brandon Ingram, and how, of course, Scottie Barnes and Brandon Ingram are an all-star duo out there on the wings for this Raptors team. And the biggest thing that he was really talking about for this Raptors group, this Raptors team going in this year, is how this squad is just going to be really fun to watch. They're going to be competitive. They're going to be, fighting every single night in, night out. And Brandon Ingram, the acquisition, just really unlocks a lot of things. And if you're looking for your new favorite Toronto Raptor, Brandon Ingram is the guy that you can really look to in terms of adding him to your list. So, Bobby Webster was very complimentary of this team, very complimentary of this group, and has a lot of Raptors fans very, very excited about the direction going forward for this team. And he also addressed Masai Ujiri, being in the front office without Masai Ujiri here now at this point, as he came out and said that it's a credible opportunity to spread your wings a little bit. I didn't copy the whole quote because it was a lot of, hey, we respect Masai Ujiri, won a championship, all this stuff, but a lot of people in the front office are now able to put their stamp on things, given the added responsibility. And like any job, like any opportunity, you got to run with it, spread your wings, and keep that stuff rolling. So, Bobby Webster made some very, very cool quotes there at this front. So, he's excited about this team, excited about the opportunity, and just excited with how things have been coming together for this Toronto Raptors team. But we got to keep getting wins. We got to keep getting wins here now. We're top of the Eastern Conference, undefeated after one game so far this year. We play the Milwaukee Bucks tonight. I know the Blue Jays are playing the World Series. Again, we'll be live for that, but this is a very important game for the Toronto Raptors. And we do have some updates out there on the injury front. So basically, so we can take a look at the Raptors side. We have some good news as Colin Murray-Boyles and Jacoby Walter illness are both listed as questionable for tonight's game against the Milwaukee Bucks. So we've been looking into Colin Murray-Boyles' injury, hopeful that it's not something dramatic, not something serious that's going to keep him out a long time. The fact that he is upgraded to questionable for tonight's game, whether or not he plays or not, is very, very good news for this team. And Jacoby Walter, illness is, you're not too worried long-term about illnesses for players unless it's something dramatic, like what Kristaps Porzingis had for the Hawks last year. So, wishing speedy recoveries for them, but good news on the injury front there. And the Raptors do have some injury updates with other teams. So Kevin Porter Jr. is going to be out with injury illness, left ankle sprain. So, you have that there. And then Giannis Antetokounmpo has a left great toe sprain. So, he played game one out there of the season, absolutely was dominant there against the Washington Wizards. So it's likely probable that he will be playing in tonight's game. And he had 37 and 14 and 5, in that first game. But the rest of this Bucks roster, man, it's looking thin. I'm not worried about this Bucks team long term. I'm confident in this Raptors group. Going to be able to get a W, get a win in tonight's game. So, we'll see how things shape up. I've been an adamant kind of hater out here on this Milwaukee Bucks roster to this team for this season. There's a lot of people saying, oh, there are dark horse in the Eastern Conference that's depleted with all the injuries and everything like that. I look at this roster, and yes, Gary Trent Jr., but was a fan of him and stuff. Kuzma, Taurean Prince, Miles Turner. I'm just not buying this team. Bobby Portis is coming out. Bobby Webster. Bobby Portis is coming out saying that they have one of the deepest teams. I think the deepest bench out there in the NBA. I would completely disagree. If I'm looking at their lineup compared to our Raptors team, you have Shead, Gradey Dick, Jacoby Walter, Ochai Agbaji, Jameson Ballas, CMB, Jonathan Bobo, Mamu Kelishvili playing dominant there. Heck, Chucky Hepburn and AJ Lawson, two guys that look like they will have some impact on the team this season. I'm taking our bench depth over the Milwaukee Bucks. But, of course, we got to prove it here tonight. Get some stops, get some wins, and let things roll. So let me know what you guys think about this Raptors team moving forward. Anyways, you guys are the best. I'm signing out. Cheers.